So I'm going to go over this. This is a good prep for the MCAS because it's basically everything I've taught you this year. It's the end of course test. So this is just for a review. So the first part, it says simplify the expression and identify the properties used. So this property where you have a number on the outside of parentheses and then something inside of parentheses being added or subtracted, that's the distributive property. So I'm actually going to do an example, make up one, and then I'm going to have you guys try this one. So let's say I have 5 parentheses x minus 6. Okay, so it's like the same thing, I'm just changing the numbers. What you do is you take the outside number and multiply it by everything on the inside. So 5 times x is 5x, 5 times 6 is 30, and then you just bring down the minus sign. That is your final answer. There's no more you can do from that because this is a coefficient, if you remember, to a variable, and this is a constant, so you can't combine them. So that's your final answer. So you try this one now the same exact way I tried this one. So pause and try that one. This is the distributive property. Okay, this one, when you have a number inside of parentheses, but everything's multiplication or everything is addition, then this is the associative property. So basically the associative property means that you can switch the parentheses around and still get the same answer. So all you would have to do is multiply the two numbers together and then multiply it by the letter. So I'm going to do one similar but with different numbers. So let's say I have 6 times b times 8. So all I do is multiply these two numbers together, which is 48, and then put times b, and then that's my final answer. So you pause and try this one now. Okay, the next one, this one says, well, I'm just going to do number 3 now. It says use a formula to find the area of the figure. So this is a triangle. The triangle formula is base times height divided by 2. So let me do one similar. So I'm just going to pretend it's 4 and 10 for my example. So base times height, remember they have to make a 90-degree angle. 4 times 10 is 40, divided by 2 is 20. And then this one doesn't have a label, so I'm just going to put a U for units with a 2 over it. So you try this one, base times height divided by 2. Number 4, I'm going to see if you could try this one, and then I'll do it out for you, just because it's going to take me forever to make up my own example. So pause and try this, and then watch me do it. Okay, so it says tickets to a basketball game cost $4 for adults. So I'm going to put adults equals $4, and $2 for children. So children equals $2. Write an expression that gives the total cost for A amount of adults and C children to attend the game. So if it's $4 for adults, you would take the letter 4 and multiply it by however many adults there are, and that would tell you the cost. If it's $2 for every child, and we don't know how many kids are going, we would still take that 2 and multiply it by however many children there are. That's going to give us the total that it costs, so equals the total. So $4 times however many adults plus $2 times however many children equals the total cost. Now it's saying what is the total cost if you have 2 adults. So I'm going to change the A to a 2 because we now know that there's 2 adults and 3 children. So I'm going to change the C for children to 3 because we now know how many there are. Now you do order of operations. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 3 is 6. Add them together, and it would cost $14. Okay, so hopefully you did that. If you didn't, hopefully now you understand how to do it. Okay, the next one is a bunch of performing operations here. So I want you to try these and then come back and see how you did so you can correct it afterwards. So let's take a look. So if you're watching this, that means you already tried these. So 7/9 times 6/5. So we can cross cancel, which means I look diagonally across and see if I could divide them by anything. I could divide 9 and 6 by 3. 6 divided by 3 is 2. 9 divided by 6 is 3. This I can't do anything with. Now I'm going to multiply across. 7 times 2 is 14. 3 times 5 is 15. So that would be your answer for this one. For number 6, we have 2 1/4 divided by 3/8. Step 1, when you're dividing or multiplying fractions, you cannot have a mixed number. So I have to make this improper. So I'm going to do 4 times 2, which is 8, plus the 1, which is 9. So I get 9/4. Then with dividing, the 3 words that tell you to set it up are keep, change, flip. So I'm going to keep this, change the division to a times, flip over this one. Now I'm going to cross cancel. I could divide these both by 3. So I get a 1 here and a 3 here. I could divide these both by 4. So I get a 1 and a 2. 3 times 2 is 6. 1 times 1 is 1. 6 over 1 is 6. Number 7, when you are doing these, it does not matter. You do not have to line them up. I always put the one with the most digits on the top, and then I just kind of slide the bottom one to the right so that it's like just looks like regular numbers. 2 times 5 is 10. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 2 times 0 is 0. Start my next row with a 0. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 0 is 0. Add these rows together. So carry 1. And now, to figure out where your decimal goes, you count how many numbers are to the right. So 1, 2, 3. 3 numbers to the right of the decimal. So I place my decimal point so that there are 3 numbers to the right of it. So 0.420. Okay? The last one for this section, when you are dividing a decimal by a decimal, you have to get rid of the decimal on the outside in the divisor. So what you do is you just move it to the right till it disappears. So it took 2 spots to get it to the right, which means on the inside, I have to move 2 spots. So it has to match. So if I move this 2, I move this 2. So now the decimal here is at the end, and I'm going to add a 0 just in case I need it, and this is a whole number. So 25 does not go into 7. 25 goes into 73 twice, which is 50. Subtract, I get 23. Bring down the next digit. 25 goes into 238. Let's see. So 25 goes into 104 times. We have 200, so that's 8. So I'm going to say 9 times. 45, so that's 225. Subtract, I get 13. Bring down the 0. That's going to go in 5 times, which is 125. Subtract, I get 5. I have to bring down a 0. I get 50. 25 goes into 50 twice. So then it zeroes out, so 29.52. Okay. Next part says find the area of the parallelogram. On your MCAS, you're going to get this formula. It's base times height. So I'm just multiplying the 2 numbers together. So I have to make them both improper. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17, so 17 fifths. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13, so 13 thirds. Unfortunately, for this one, I cannot cross cancel. There's nothing I could divide them by, so I'm just going to multiply out. So that's 15. And over here, I'm just going to do out 17 times 13. So that's 5. Start with 0, 7, 1. So 1. So 221 fifteenths. You can leave it improper. The next section is all doing order of operations. So you want to do these first and then come back and see how you did. So for the first one, 6 plus 9 divided by 3. I have to do PEMDAS. So division comes before addition. So that's 3. 6 plus 3 equals 9. So that's for number 10. For number 11, you would do, there's no parentheses. The next step is exponents. Remember with your exponents, this is not 5 times 2. It's 5 times 5. So that's 25 minus 4 times 2. Next step would be multiplication. And then the last thing we would do is subtract. So we're going to get 17. Okay. For number 12, I have, let me just change this so I can write. So I have 4 minus 2 in parentheses to the 3rd power minus 2 parentheses 3 plus 1. So we want to do our parentheses first. 4 minus 2 is 2. Put the 3 above it. Minus 3 plus 1 is 4. A number next to parentheses means multiplication, so I'm going to write it like this. Next up is exponents. This is not 2 times 3. It's 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Minus, we have to multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 minus 8 is 0. So the final answer is 0. Okay. For this next one, 15 plus 3 times 6 divided by 2 minus 4 to the 2nd power. So I have to do parentheses first, which is 3. I'm going to rewrite this entire thing. This means multiply, so 3 times 3 minus 4 to the 2nd power. Next part is exponents. 4 to the 2nd power is 4 times 4, which is 16. I'm going to bring everything else down. This is multiplication is going to be next, so that's 9. Bring this down. Next I have left to right. So 15 plus 9 is 24. Minus 16 is 8. So that should have been number 13.